Wintertime for a bike is pretty tough. The wet, gritty conditions are going to cause accelerated wear on most of the components and can very quickly destroy your bike. So in this video, I've got a very simple and effective guide to help you prep your bike for winter so that life for you and your bike is a far more pleasant experience. Now these tips are going to apply for all different types of bikes, so it doesn't matter whether you're commuting 15 minutes across town or doing hardcore winter training ready for the race season. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about lights. So using lights is a surefire way of improving your safety out on the bike. You could use a small little rear light to help make it easier to be seen, or you could use a slightly larger front light to light the path of where you're going. You need to choose lights relevant to the conditions that you're riding in, be that towards the end of the day, just as the light's fading, or riding in the depths and dark of the night. Lights like this that go on the rear of your bike can cost in the region of 10 to 20 pounds. But if you want to use a light to illuminate where you're actually riding, so a larger front light like this, is going to cost a considerable amount more money, but it's an easy way of making sure you stay safe. Mudguards next. Now, in my experience, having spent near endless hours riding in the rain when I was training as a pro, investing in a set of mudguards in winter is a surefire way of making life a lot more pleasant. Now granted, mudguards are not cool, they're not aero, and they're certainly not lightweight, but fit a set of mudguards to your bike, it's going to keep your bum and your feet considerably drier. Not only that, it's going to stop a lot of the spray and grit from going up onto your bike, working its way into the bearings and on the chain. So it's like twofold benefits really. Now, depending on the mudguards that you go for, because there are literally hundreds of different types to choose from, you're going to get a slightly different experience. If you choose a full length set of mudguards, they're going to offer the best protection. But if you're using a lightweight or aero or more race orientated bike, you're going to be slightly more limited to the mudguards that you can fit. But with that said, there are pretty much mudguards out there to fit any different type of bike. And if you're really against using mudguards, simple solution, you can just use an arse saver, which is a small piece of plastic, clips into the back of your saddle and keep the worst off your bum. Winter tyres next. Now you don't need to be an expert to realise that winter tyres are designed to be ridden in winter conditions. On wet, slippy roads, they're going to give you increased grip and control, and most of them have an added layer of puncture protection, because trust me, when it's cold, wet and horrible outside, the last thing you want to be doing is stood at the roadside fixing your puncture. Are winter tyres crucial? Absolutely not. But when you're choosing a winter tyre compared to a summer one, sometimes you can go up a size, which is going to help improve the comfort and the grip that you have on your bike as well. But if you're going to do that, you need to make sure that not only they fit in your frame, they also fit in the mudguards, which I've just told you to fit to your bike. Now, irrespective of whether you're using winter tyres or summer tyres, a simple thing to do is to check your tyres every time you wash your bike to make sure there's no cuts and damage, which could lead to a puncture next time you're out on your bike. The wet and gritty conditions of winter are going to act as a grinding paste on all of the components of your bike and cause accelerated wear. This is mostly going to be apparent on the braking systems and the brake pads that are fitted to your bike. Now, if you're using a rim brake bike, it's going to really highlight the accelerated wear. You can check how the brake pads are doing just by simply looking down at the calipers, seeing how much material is left on there. Brake pads like this have a little line indicating the wear limit on them. Once the pad has worn away to that, that's when you should replace it. Now, if you're using a disc brake bike, you're still going to have the same problem, but the rate and the speed at the brake pad wearing down is going to be considerably slower than a rim brake bike. Easiest thing to do is when you're washing and checking your bike over, remember to have a glance down at the brake pads to make sure there's enough material left on them, and don't leave it too late before you replace them, especially if you're using a rim brake bike, because once these brake pads are worn down, you're going to start wearing away at the brake rims and causing them to no longer be flat. There'll be a curved surface like that, which is going to wear them out and ultimately need replacing sooner than they would have done had you just replaced your brake pads. Modern bearings are great. The seals on them do a fantastic job of keeping the grease inside and the dirt and crap out. However, bearings are not indestructible. Now, wintertime is not a great time to be using your fancy bearings with low drag seals and thin oil plates in them. Winter conditions are going to take one look at those fancy bearings and laugh. When you're checking your bike over, it's important to look at the bearings. You need to check if there's free play side to side in the direction that you don't want the bearing to have movement. You can also rotate the bearings with your hands to listen and feel if they're not as smooth as they used to be. Once you notice there's some damage and wear onto the bearings, you need to replacing them as quick as possible so that you don't cause any damage to other components of your bike. Now, most components will use a cartridge bearing, which you simply replace with a new one. But there are parts on your bike which use a serviceable bearing. So get in there quick, clean it out, replace it with some fresh grease and fresh seals so that you don't cause any major damage. Now, if you're not confident on replacing the bearings on your bike, head down to your local bike shop, get booked in, and don't put that job off. And then finally, onto your chain, the part that makes your bike go, but it's also the part of your bike which is most exposed to dirt and wear. Using a thin, ultra-low friction chain lube, which is designed for, say, the summer months, but using it in the winter, it's just going to very easily get washed off your bike, leaving your chain unlubricated and cause accelerated wear. Winter chain lubes, such as these, tend to be a little bit thicker than their summer counterparts, meaning they're going to stay in place on those long, harsh winter rides. Now, some people will swear by using a wax chain, but in my experience, you need to save that for the dry conditions because it doesn't last long enough during the harsh conditions. So lubricate your chain and you'll be good to go. So there you have it, some helpful tips to prep your bike ready for winter so that your only excuse for not riding is down to you and not down to your bike. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have, give it a big thumbs up and let me know in the comments section down below if you want to see any other cool little maintenance videos. And while you're there, subscribe to GCN Tech so you don't miss out on any cool stuff we make.